Hello, crypto world. Welcome to the Chart Historian. My name is Justin, and on this channel, I delve deep into crypto charts, exploring chart structures, fractals, and patterns. Well, folks, I have the Dow Jones Industrial Average open today. Now, it's not a crypto chart, but it is an important chart for you to be aware of, regardless if you hold crypto or not. Now, it is my belief that crypto is tied to the Dow Jones. If you do an analysis of the Dow Jones and Bitcoin, you will see that Bitcoin moves up when the Dow Jones is doing well and moving up. So that brings us to what has taken place on today's chart right here. So this is on a day candle, and as you can see, price has been moving down. If you compare the Dow Jones to the crypto market, this is the total crypto market, you can see that where the Dow Jones begins to turn down, you also see that coincide with the crypto market over here. We can also compare it to Bitcoin. So right here we see Bitcoin declining, which also happens to be at the same place where the Dow Jones is declining. Furthermore, this is also true of the total chart. The bull run right here and the decline takes place with the move up and the decline in the Dow Jones. Let's adjust this a little closer. So we see that correlation is truly there. So if the Dow Jones is struggling, does that mean the crypto market will also struggle? And the bigger question, will that affect the crypto bull run? Well, yes, it would, but it is my belief that the Dow Jones is not really moving down. So let's focus on the Dow Jones here. So if you were to take this fractal right here, this is the run up to the C19 crash, and the C19 crash is right here. Well, if you were to take this structure right here and copy and paste it onto this side of the chart, now, mind you, you have to adjust it for timing, height, and depth. As you can see, this structure is much larger, or a much larger iteration of this structure. So once adjusted for today's timing, height, and depth, you see that it is a fairly close match. So let's zoom in here and look at this part right here. So as you can see, the fractal calls for a move down. Now, since timing, height, and depth does not copy from the original structure, but instead is unique to each occurrence of this structure, price can move down further than it did previously or in the original structure, and that is still okay. So if it is to continue to follow this structure, which I believe it will, we will soon see price begin to turn back up and move further upward. Now, I don't know when this will happen. It could potentially go a bit lower than it is now. It could also work out this bottoming structure right here in the same way maybe that it did here. But eventually, at some point, price will begin to move back up. Now, it is this next phase that we go into that is really the blow-off top of the Dow Jones. So I don't know how high this will go, since timing, height, and depth is always unique. But I do believe there's a good chance it gets above this current all-time high. So that, people, is good for Bitcoin and crypto. This, I believe, ties into the crypto bull run, and I've talked about this in the past, how the timing could work. Now, that is speculative. It's really difficult to predict timing, but what we can be more confident in is this structure most likely continuing to play out. Now, this structure peaks here, and then it does a large decline, as we saw over here. This is only the final portion of a much larger fractal at play. So as I've touched on in the past, the Dow Jones is actually following a very large version of the run-up to the 1929 crash, and most likely will also include that 1929 style crash. Let me zoom out. I'm going to have to zoom out very far. Okay, so here we are back at the very beginning of the Dow Jones. So the Dow Jones starts in 1896. And if you take this structure here, starting from its inception all the way to the peak of the Roaring Twenties that took place in 1929 and the ensuing crash that takes place. So if you were to copy this entire structure and paste it over here, now, mind you, I have had to adjust it for timing, height, and depth. This structure, since the 1929 crash, which ended in 1932, right here, has been repeating this structure all over again. So this crash was an 89.51% decline, a very large decline. Now, let's zoom out. I'm on a month candle, so I am on a very, very large time frame, very zoomed out. However, as you can see, the chart after this time period right here follows the structure. Now, I remind you, it's been adjusted to meet the timing at this point. So what does that mean? So for instance here, so this part of the fractal moved up much larger than it did over here. So I had to stretch it to meet that movement. But mind you, it is the same movement. It is the same structure playing out. The chart moves up at the right time and it does the right thing in the right place. So as you can see, it is playing out on a much larger, grander scale. And this is what can happen when the timing, height, and depth does not copy. So you can have a much larger version of a much smaller fractal, and vice versa. You can have a very large fractal repeat on a very small time frame. So as you can see, this continues to follow. However, we are not there yet. So just to put things in perspective, this structure has been playing out for 90 plus years. This is a behemoth of a structure. The larger these structures are, the more powerful they are. So this is a whopper of a structure. It is the largest structure, put it this way, that I know of, and I am very into this stuff. So at a certain point, it hasn't reached the peak yet, but at a certain point, this decline will take place. Now, I don't know how deep this decline will go. This is matched to be an 89.51% decline. It could be less than that. It could be more than that. We'll have to see how that plays out. You know, if you were to take this decline right here, this is the C19 fractal, and copy and paste it onto here, you see that they are actually very similar. In fact, I might argue even the same. So we have a smaller iteration of this decline over here. And just as I told you how a fractal can play out on a smaller time frame or a larger time frame, well, we see that happen here. Now, this remaining part is still yet to be completed. However, both structures, that 90-year structure and the run-up to the C19 and the C19 crash, both say the same thing. So we have two different fractals saying the same event is likely going to take place. Now, I don't know how high this will go up. Like I said, I don't know the timing of this. Timing is a very difficult thing to predict. It can change at a moment's notice. It can slow down. It can speed up. So it is difficult to predict. However, at its current speed, we could see a potential peak sometime in the beginning of the new year, late January, early February. I'm not sure. It could be before this. It could also be after this. We'll have to see, once again, how it plays out. But this structure that has been taking place for over 90 years is almost complete. We are almost at the very peak. That would be the blow-off top, and then will come the decline. Now, I don't know how low this will go. We'll have to see how that all plays out. All that to say is we still have some more time, and that is good for crypto because crypto does well when the Dow Jones does well. Well, I hope this video has been informative. If you found it helpful, It'd be much appreciated if you hit that thumbs up button. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but if you did enjoy this technical analysis, you should hit that subscribe button. This is original technical analysis. You're not going to find anything like this. This is something that I have discovered. It's all based on macro structures. This macro structure acts as a guide to what is taking place on smaller time frames. I will continue to follow this chart as it continues to develop. I'm so glad you caught this video. I hope you catch my next one. Have a great day, and bye for now.